Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm the content marketing executive at 50, and I'm here with Danielle, our head of paid social, and we're just going to talk about some of the trends, challenges, and benefits of paid social in the current market. So why don't we just get started? And thanks for joining me, Danielle. Can we get into a little bit of the benefits of paid social?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's heaps of benefits to paid social. Of course, I would say that, but I believe it's true. So paid social, it's all about scale and reach primarily. I think 60% of the global population is on some form of social channel, and that ramps up to like 85, just looking at the UK. So there's a huge section of population on social. So if you're trying to target your audience, you're bound to find them on some social platform or other. And beyond that, most people who are active users on social are across over 6 different social channels. If you're looking to reach your audience, you're going to find them. So that's one massive benefit of social, paid social specifically. Also, there's like the variety is huge. So in terms of who you can target, what channels you can target, the different creatives that you can kind of put onto these channels. There's just so much variety within that. So they're like the key things. Benefits of paid social.
Yeah. And so sort of on the other side of that, what are some of the drawbacks with all of that?
Sure. So with all that variety comes decision making, I guess. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a product or a client that you're working with that you need to get out there, with the number of choices out there, you have to make some decisions, right? So often it can be a case of there are so many different platforms, what should we be on? And either people default to Meta because it's the known one, or they want to try everything, and therefore you split budgets lots of different ways. So the fact that there's variety is great, but you also have to look at who you're targeting, what platforms are going to be best to A, reach your goals, B, reach your audience. That's one thing to consider on the sort of flip side of the benefit of that variety is that it requires some decision making, so you're not kind of spreading yourself too thinly. Mm-hmm. I think a key drawback that we find within social is attribution and different attribution models, and kind of paid social has, it can have such an impact, but measuring that impact can sometimes be hindered by looking at things like last click attribution and different sort of ways of measuring where people don't often see as much value in paid social as there is. So it's looking at what metrics that we can measure, not just looking at that last click, looking at how many people we're reaching, how they're engaging, how they then go on to interact with the brand, whether that's through search or programmatic channels or going straight to the website. So attribution can be a sticking point, particularly when we're talking to clients. Mm-hmm. A couple of the drawbacks there, and then finally it kind of goes back to that variety point, but making sure that you've got the right creative for the channels that you're working on. So it holds so much potential, and working across different channels is really exciting, but you're only going to get out of them what you can put in, and so it's making sure you've got the right creative video assets, image assets, to kind of get the most out of those. And that can often be a sticking point for brands who maybe don't have in-house capability to get those creative assets and churn them out at the sort of rate that a platform like TikTok, for example, might require.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so kind of there's a lot to cover with paid social. I guess where does it really sit in the marketing funnel? Like there's a lot of ground. Where would you put it?
Paid social can be used at any stage of the funnel. Mm-hmm. So there's no area that it can't really. So the benefit, I think, as we've said around the social channels, is that reach, is that scale with how many people are active on that. So top of the funnel is huge, and like really trying to reach those audiences. That said, it can be used across nurturing your audience. So let's say you start top of the funnel and you're targeting quite broadly, and you're trying to sort of gauge who's engaging with that content, whether it's video views or awareness campaign. You can then start to nurture that audience, so that sort of middle of the funnel, maybe providing more informative content, getting people to engage a bit more, and then lower funnel using it, whether you're using shopping ads or driving to an e-commerce site. It really can be used at every stage. So as I say, like the benefits of paid social being that it's a reach channel. Top of the funnel makes sense, but it can be used at every point.
Nice. And so I guess going off of that, how do you think 50 best uses it? How does paid social work with our platform and our mission?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that 50 uses our tribe data when it comes to paid social, it sits very naturally at that top of the funnel stage. So we're targeting relatively broad, but obviously we're still segmenting that audience. So we're understanding our audience more. When we're sort of segmenting, we're understanding what sort of in copy or content they might engage with, and tailoring that to who we're going after.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that top of the funnel really works well. Then off the back of that, we can start seeing, okay, based on who's engaging, maybe we can build lookalikes and things like that. But yeah, the tribe data specifically really works at that top of the funnel level.
Fabulous. And can you kind of run me through a bit of what the market's like right now? What is paid social like today? What are the current trends?
Yeah, I mean, paid social or social in general, that the landscape is constantly changing. So what we might discuss now is going to be different from what it was a few months ago, and probably different to what it will be in a couple of months. So yeah, ever evolving. I think a couple of the trends that are really coming up now and have been for a while. So it's not brand new stuff, but short form video is going to continue to be huge. So that's obviously TikTok. We've seen such a huge rise in that platform, but also YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, all that sort of stuff. So I think we're only going to see that grow. I think one caveat with that is knowing that it's not a one size fits all kind of approach. If you've got video that works really well on Meta, for example, that isn't necessarily going to also work well on TikTok. So if you've got TikTok, that they always say create TikTok videos, not ads. So it needs to be much more sort of user generated in its feel, which might not be the same as the sort of thing you're running on Meta. So short form video for the win, but it's not one size fits all. And then the second kind of thing that I think is really in discussion in the industry at the moment is about targeting and broad targeting specifically. In the past, where the likes of Meta and other channels have wanted you to be quite niche, and they give you all these options in targeting, so you're able to layer demographic targeting, location, age, that sort of thing, as well as interests and behaviours, so whether you're an early adopter of tech and things like this, that they give you so many options. But for lots of different reasons, with the new updates in technology and things like that, that's kind of flipped on its head. And more recently, Meta and the like have said, okay, no, broad audiences are the way to go. That has been met with some skepticism, because of course people are saying, well, yeah, they want you to target broad because you'll spend your money with them and they can go, yep, we know best and our algorithm will just do it. I think there's a happy medium where we can still put in layers of targeting, but without being so hyper targeted that we're really going in specific. I think go broad, feed the machine as much information as you can about your audience, who's engaging, who's going on to meet your objectives, and then letting the algorithm from there kind of put your ads in front of the best people to meet your goal.
Mm-hmm. And again, with 50's platform, it is a segmentation tool. So how do we kind of combat that broad targeting into utilizing it with our niche sort of segmentation and figuring out the different tribes of audiences? Is there a strategy behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I still see, although the 50 platform, as you say, it segments our audiences, it helps us understand the nuances within one sort of broad audience. Mm-hmm. It's still not niche. So the audiences that we're pulling out of that, the tribes rather, that we're pulling out of that, once we put them into the platform, it's still a relatively broad audience. Mm-hmm. So we know that there's nuance there. We know that it's very specific to the brand and to the people we're trying to target, but it's not so niche. We're not then going on to layer that with too much of an age breakdown, demographics, interest beyond kind of what our tribe has done. So I think as long as we're not layering onto our tribe data, the tribes themselves, while segmented, are still pretty broad in their targeting. And as we mentioned earlier, off the back of that, we can then understand what's working and optimize to that. And if there's elements within that then do require a bit more of a niche sort of look, we can do that. But I certainly see the 50 tribes and 50 platform is a really nice mix of segmentation, but not going too niche. It's still relatively broad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fabulous. And kind of going more towards the future, so 6 months from now to the end of 2023, do you have any idea where the trends are going?
Well, as I said, everything's always changing, and particularly right now with the likes of what's happening on Twitter and things like that, you know, people coming off of that platform in particular, people and brands.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's going to be an increased diversification of channels that brands are going to be looking to advertise on. I think, you know, Meta has been the kind of big channel that everyone's on. I don't see that changing drastically, but I do think there will be more diversification. So where people might be coming off of Twitter, they might look to TikTok, to Pinterest, all these other channels, and sort of diversify. And I think that the big thing will be about testing channels that might work for you, and being agile to go, okay, we've tested that, it's not working so well. Let's, you know, just sort of having that agility to kind of test the water, but also, yeah, kind of optimizing for what's working for you and your brand.
Yeah, love that. So I think those are some really great points that you mentioned. What would you say are kind of the big 3 takeaways from our discussion?
Well, I just touched on one.
Yep.
Test. I think, yeah, that's a massive one. So not only testing your platform, testing how you're targeting, you know, testing that broad versus niche, maybe running A/B tests around your audience targeting and seeing what's working for you. Testing ad creative, and again, going back to that short form video thing, if you're running across different platforms, making sure you've got the right creative for the right platform, and testing different varieties of that. And I think, yeah, just getting creative, as I say, test, get creative, go broad or go home.
Yeah. Lovely. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to see how things change in the future and if our predictions are true and the evolution of that. So thanks for joining me.
Thanks. Yeah.